Meeting is now called to order. We welcome you to the Ferguson City Council meeting. Let us stand for a silent prayer.
Dear Lord, please join us in asking for your blessings and your strength in the healing process of Officer Brown. In Jesus' name, and keep all of our officers safe. In Christ's name we pray.
To pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which is one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Acting City Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Noah,
Here.
Councilman Palmer,
Here.
Councilman Kassoff,
Yep.
Councilman Robinette,
Here.
Mayor Jones,
Here.
Councilman Lipka,
Here.
Councilman Williams.
Here.
We have a quorum present. At this time, we will open up for public comments. We ask that you state your name and your address. You have 3 minutes to speak. If you go longer than what is allowed, then we don't have any problems with you finishing your sentence. If you start a new paragraph, I will hit the gavel and ask you to stop. If you are persistent and do not want to stop, then I will ask one of the officers to escort you out. Okay, speak loud and into the microphone. Acting Clerk Chris, who do we have?
The first person who signed up was Ms. Laverne Mitchum.
Good evening, Council. During the spring of 2022 Ferguson Council election, Mike Palmer was elected to Ward 3 to a 3-year term. On October 8th, 2024, Councilman Palmer filed with the Missouri Ethics Commission a residency change and that he would be running for councilperson for Ward 1. Per Ferguson Charter rules, Councilman Palmer should have resigned from office on October 8th, 2024, the date of his primary residency change. The charter states all council members and the mayor shall be qualified voters of the city. The council members elected by ward shall be residents of the wards from which they are elected during their entire term of office. That's Article 3, 3.2.2 eligibility. Mike Palmer has declared his candidacy for April 8th, 2025 City Council election. He has chronically changed his residency in order to run for office in the past. We, the citizens of Ferguson, concerned about the ability of a group of people to continue to undermine the citizens of our beloved community. The city is made of 71% African Americans, while the council does not represent the demographics. These situations reflect previous disregard of African Americans in the case of 2015 DOJ consent decree and the 2016 Missouri NAACP versus Ferguson and Florissant. These cases show that African Americans can be systematically unable to elect candidates based on a system being set up. We the people are wondering why Mike Palmer believes that he should be able to run in Ward 1 while holding office in Ward 3, which is a violation of the current city charter, which stipulates residency requirements. It appears some within our community are trying to continue to hijack the political process by stopping any change that came about after Michael Brown experience. We are reaching out to St. Louis County NAACP, the Missouri Attorney General, to give us clarification on this matter. Ferguson concerned citizens.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchum.
Next we have Henry, I'm gonna mistake the last name, sorry.
Good evening.
My question is to the city attorney in light of the information that you have. Will Mr. Palmer continue to hold office while he's running for an office with the residency requirement. I know that they said we take it into consideration and give the information. Citizens need to hear from you, have a right to redress, to ask this question. Ken, he has no problem. He can run for whatever he wants to run as long as he's a citizen of Ferguson. But he can hold office and run in another district. He has to relinquish that office, run for the other district, according to the city charter. From what we heard, statutes, it's very loud, residency issue. So I need some clarification. Yes, the citizen.
Thank you, Mr. Henry.
Next, we have Jamel Franklin.
Good evening. I'm
Good
Jamil
evening.
Franklin, Ward 2, 427 Church Street. A couple of things I wanted to talk about tonight, both kind of deal with accountability. If we go back to last council meeting, there was an individual that had wanted to open a business over on West Florissant. There were some issues with the liquor license. I believe Councilman Williams was the only council person that was in favor for it. Put a motion on the table, nobody seconded, it died. I know a lot of folks are not in favor of additional liquor licenses going in our community, but I believe in accountability, and we have to operate in good faith. You know, when people come to Ferguson, open up businesses, they spend money, resources, loans, and then when they go through that formal process, and then they find out, oh, wait a minute, they're not even going to consider this. They're not even going to take a vote. I think it's disingenuous, and it sends the wrong message to the general public, whether you agree with what they wanted to do or not. I believe the council, city staff, we have to hold ourselves at a higher standard when we deal with the public. And when we make mistakes on any level, we have to give individuals grace, and we have to learn from our mistakes. So I think if anything, the council should have given a provisional approval based off of certain guidelines that you guys deem fit, like security, lighting, et cetera. But I just think that we've got to get back to operating in good faith with the general public. And when we make mistakes as a city, we have to own those mistakes. Also, kind of piggybacking on that, the second issue, you know, as it is right now, I don't believe there's any strong ordinances as it relates to asbestos inspections with demolition and remodeling projects throughout the city. And there are county, state, federal guidelines where if nothing else, we should be doing asbestos sampling. I know for those, some of you council members, you know about the project over on Airport Road. They did get a permit from the city, but they were in there just pulling out material, you know. I don't think there was any sampling done. I don't think anybody's doing any asbestos sampling when people remodel homes, investment homes for single families. And that's a public safety issue throughout our entire city, because asbestos, as you know, causes certain cancers that may take anywhere from 2 to 10 years, or really actually up to 40 years, depending on the type. So I think we need to tighten that up as a city. If we don't have the expertise, we can always reach out to St. Louis County. I know St. Louis County helped St. Charles County get their program off the ground back in 2011, actually helped train the city of St. Charles back then. So I just think that we've got to tighten up across the city because it all goes back to accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin.
Next, we have Alan Miller.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm speaking on behalf of PROUD, people reaching out for unity and diversity. This past weekend, PROUD held a 2-day conference titled 30 Years After Oak Park, Ferguson Then and Now. The conference celebrated the collaboration between Ferguson City Council, the city manager and staff, and the charter members of PROUD who had the vision to host the original conference in 1994. Councilor Noah attended the Friday evening reception. As a representative of the Third Ward and Ferguson's governmental leadership, we were grateful that she was able to attend the reception. In addition to the celebration, this year's conference featured a series of roundtable discussions to explore issues that are of current importance to our city. These discussions provided, in essence, a weekend of town halls to build upon the ideas identified by such things as the task force that the mayor proposed several years ago and some of the issues identified in the Our Ferguson 2040 master plan. These discussion groups featured 40 expert panelists, including Captain Ron Johnson and Reddit Hudson, Precious Berry, Dr. Alice Block, and Mady Henson McCannon as our keynote speakers. I served as moderator for 3 discussions, and each one went overtime because people were so engaged they did not want to stop the discussion. Further, every panelist in my breakouts asked that Proud hold follow-up events to continue the discussions. Every one of our panelists had a similar positive and energizing response. I especially want to thank Joel Pugh, the city's community development coordinator, for attending the Friday afternoon session and serving as a panelist on the neighborhoods and housing panel. David Keller was also on the Friday panel representing FNIP. It was reassuring to hear that, coincidentally, many of the other panelists are already working with Joel and with Rachel St. Moran to help with housing and development issues in our city. There's a lot of good work going on. In all, the discussion breakout sessions yielded over 30 hours full of ideas, initiatives, and policy suggestions. Proud is already planning a number of follow-up events to expand on, publicize, and enact these proposals. Proud's next event will be held this Thursday and will feature Dr. David Kimball, a professor at the University of Missouri St. Louis, and the Confluence Scholars Strategy Network. He will be hosting a discussion on increasing voter participation. We hope to see you there on Thursday, the 24th of October, 6 p.m. at St. Peter's United Church of Christ. Thank you.
Have the waiting room.
Do we have anyone on Zoom?
So we have people on Zoom, yes. But, you mean for
To speak.
speaking? I know Ms. Erica Brooks signed up online and she's here in person now.
Ms. Brooks, where are you? Okay, you signed up online, you can speak.
Good evening. I want to bring to everyone's presence about the importance of voting. The importance of the next presidential election that's about to happen to our country. To understand how different legislation has been activated, not recently, but some years in advance as far as Project 2025. Legislation as far as banning certain books from our schools about Black history, understanding our existence and our history and our importance of how we have contributed to this world, not just the United States of America, but this world. Banning access to be able to vote, creating different ways to fix a wheel that shouldn't be touched because there's nothing wrong with it. People having the right to be able to access housing, people having the right to be able to have safe surroundings. There are a whole lot of things that people talk about with this Project 2025, but one thing I have a concern about is our community informing us what we should be doing if it's so detrimental to our existence as Black people or immigrants or whoever else in this world. Why is there not anybody in our community informing us about what this plan is about? Yeah, it's 922 pages long, but if it's something that's definitely affecting our legislation in Missouri, because it's definitely affecting it, whether it's homeland security, whether it's like I asked you all last time, is there somewhere that we can go online to see the demographics of who's in our neighborhood, the different people that have come to this country and have moved into Ferguson, to know who's here? You know, yeah, we had a census in 20, but that doesn't say a thing about all the different people that have been able to been naturalized, had naturalization to be able to be a citizen. You know, just know and understand who we are here with, and then the different benefits that they're able to receive in our community, in our country, that we don't have access to. But like I said, it's important that the people get out and vote. Don't depend on somebody else and say, well, you know, well, we we're gonna like wait until somebody else vote because we don't care. This right here makes a difference between mental freedom and slavery. Straight up slavery. The people can be blind to the fact, oh yeah, I have access to hold an office and sit there and think that, yeah, you're free and you have civil rights, but this next presidential election is gonna show you how much freedom that you think you might have had. So please get out and vote. You can vote early right about now. Go online to the St. Louis County website and find out where you can vote early at. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Brooks.
There's nobody that's raised their hand or made a comment online.
No
That
one
was the last
else?
person. No.
Okay. At this time, the public comment is closed, and we ask that the staff and the attorney be available to answer their questions. Public comments is now closed. We move to the manager's report. City Manager Hampton, do you have a report for us tonight?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor and council, it's a pleasure being here tonight. It would just be me, I'm not bringing any staff members in tonight. Next month, we will only have one council meeting, and also in December, one council meeting. I just wanted to make note so everybody knows. We should also be in the council chambers, our next council meeting, depending on if we can get electrician there. Right now, that's one of our issues. But we should be able to be there at that time. Also, I just wanted to say, Corey's working with our contractor that won for the ARPA streets. We will be putting a list up on our website in the order of the way the streets are going to be done. We may not be able to get them all done this fall because we have to watch the weather. And if whatever we don't get done, we'll start back in the spring. He's also going to start tarring in our neighborhoods, some of the cracks in the street. So especially where our new slabs are. Right now, we also have the Parks Department. We have to remember, let me start over. So when we do events in the city, we usually have a process where you go through the Parks Department and they can ask for city resources. That's one thing that's not happening. And so we may not be getting to all these events that are happening in the city. So I'd like to have, and we'll put this up on the main city webpage to remind everybody, if you're going to have an event in town, please go through the Parks Department. There's a form you can fill out and you can ask for city resources at that point. And we are working with FSBD on a holiday street fest. It will be more along the lines of lighting the tree, but they will have vendors and such in that area of the 501 Plaza. I do not believe we're going to have a parade this year. We did not have street fest, but we are working towards this. We're trying to make the tree lighting a little bit bigger of a thing than it has been in the past, and we'll make sure it lights this time. Police, fire, and parks are all getting ready for all the events that are going to be going on in the city. So please, if you do have an event, please go through the Parks Department. Police, fire, and parks did the pumpkin carving at the firehouse. We had over 350 people attend. It was a huge turnout. And then also, I just want to touch on, this is becoming cold and flu season again. And, go get your flu shots, if, especially people that are elderly. And then also get a pneumonia shot as well. With COVID, if you do get COVID, the second phase of COVID right now is pneumonia issues. So please, if you are feeling sick and you don't get yourself tested, at least go see your doctor. So you're not put in a bad situation, especially with pneumonia. And then also, Mr. Mueller, I think we forgot to add that the city was part of the sponsoring of the event as well. And we did sponsor some of the insurance. So we were part of this event as well. And I know the mayor also gave a proclamation. And I know it wasn't anything on purpose, but I know it was probably just forgot in your speech. And I just want to bring that up. Yep. And he had 3 minutes, and that's why. So, and trust me, I'm just bringing it up, and I hope you took it as that way. But that's my report now, Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager.
Mayor.
Give me a minute. Thank you, City Manager. Are there any questions for the City Manager?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Sorry about that.
Councilwoman Noah.
Can you all hear me okay? I was on Zoom at the last council meeting and, after the council meeting, I was emailed and unfortunately everyone couldn't hear me. And so I'm going to restate my comments. So I had a couple of questions for the city manager, so I will be restating those comments so everyone can hear me. If that's okay with this council. So the two questions that I have for the city manager in the last council meeting was, city manager, I explained to you that I received many resident concerns regarding the vacant properties that haven't been mowed this season. Many of these properties have been reported and, residents are just concerned. They want to know if these properties will be mowed this season because we do have the vendor, I think it's TRC, is that the name of the vendor? And if not, then hopefully they will be early in April or May, whenever the grass mowing season begins. That was the first part of the
Can I answer
first
that one
question.
first?
Of course.
Okay. So, we are almost through the budget of the nuisance, abatement, okay? One thing that we are trying to do, and this showed us this year, we have a lot of great results happening throughout the city, but there are some failures that we still need to, catch up on and meet. One of the things is, we've talked about this numerous times, about bringing nuisance property back into the city. And some of those properties are St. Louis County as well. And that also needs to be addressed with St. Louis County. I know you wrote an email to the gentleman about the trail, which is St. Louis County's responsibility. But this shows that we need to bring this more in-house, and this could be part of our code enforcement as well.
Thank you, city manager. And the second part of that is, like you said, some of the areas are St. Louis County. I'm not sure if it's Ferguson or St. Louis County, but there's overgrowth towered into the streets, like on Castro, Wilmot Court, Thomas off of Ruggles. So, just so residents know that we are working on these issues. Again, I asked this question in the
Yeah.
meeting last time and we
So,
discussed it.
yeah, and, I've written many emails on the overgrowth, and I know Corey's gonna be getting to a lot of it this year. One of the streets you already mentioned is already done and over with, Rouse. But yeah, we are on top of that, and that's one of Corey's goals, to get to all those, overgrowth areas.
Thank you. The second question, or question comment, I think it was the first meeting in September, you weren't here. And we approved the resolution 2024-44, the Arbor Street improvements that you just spoke about. It was stated that the, improvements were under budget.
Yeah.
And that we may be able to purchase more speed humps. And I just want to know, is that the
So,
case?
yeah, I spoke of this on the last council
Okay,
meeting. You
right.
probably may not have heard it. But we do not have money left over. It did come in under budget, but we went over budget on, slab replacement. So this is an offset, and it's a good offset. We're still able to get everything done in that 3 million portion.
Thank you, city manager.
Are there any other questions for the City Manager? Councilwoman Robinette.
So is there a list of the overgrowth that they're doing? Because I know graph was put on there and it's not, a resident was told it would happen a couple weeks ago and it keeps getting pushed back, and I thought it was gonna happen already. So is there a list that we can see?
Yeah, so what I can do is I will get the list. I'll shoot it out to council.
Okay,
And if you guys have any more to add,
Okay.
what we can do is, once we get that list, we'll put it out.
perfect.
Okay?
Thank you.
Any other questions for the City Manager? Hear none. City Manager's report is closed. We move to our special presentation. City Manager Hampton, do you have a special
I do.
presentation for
I do.
tonight?
Yes. Last week, or last council meeting, I brought up a few, WashU students that are gonna be helping us with some sustainability projects, especially along West Florissant. And they are here tonight, and hopefully they can all introduce themselves, and present their, what the project entails, and I'll let them go from here.
Evening. My name is Jalen Walker. I'm a senior at Washington University. And we're all here from the Sustainability Exchange Project. Just hoping to give you all a bit of context and information about the work that we've been doing with Mayor Jones and City Manager Hampton. But incredibly appreciative of you all for having us at the City Council. And we hope not to take up too much of your time, but I'll. And then we have, yep, those handouts that are going around right now have a bit more information, as well as a way for you guys to contact us after the presentation ends. Am I good to begin? Cool. And so just for a little overview about the presentation we're going to give now, we'll introduce you to our team, share a bit about our mission, the approach that we're taking to this work that's focused on West Florissant Avenue and really focused on the space between Ferguson and Highmont. And then our strategy in that, the progress that we've gotten through so far this semester, and then a bit of the thinking on our next steps. And that's where you all come in with those flyers that are going around with that QR code and the way to contact us. But just a quick introduction. So our team is comprised of a mix of seniors and juniors from Washington University, and we're led by our faculty advisor, Dr. Erica Bumpers, who's the Associate Director of the Race and Opportunity Lab at Washington University in the Brown School of Social Work. And some of you might know her as a community member. She's the former club director of the Teen Center of Excellence at the Boys and Girls Club over on West Florissant. But for some background information about our project and what brings us here to Ferguson into this meeting is the WashU Sustainability Exchange. And this program is a capstone course for upper level students that activates interdisciplinary teams with community partners in the St. Louis area focused on sustainability and different projects that can get WashU students experience in the real world and working with St. Louis. And I'll pass it off now to Sophie, who will talk a bit about our mission.
Thanks, Jalen. It's nice to be here, and thank you guys so much for having us. And my name is Sophie. I'm just going to talk about kind of the mission for the project, and I really want to emphasize, engaging with community stakeholders. That's you all, and this is really just the core of our project. So the project is to envision and create a plan for West Florissant Avenue that fosters accessibility, equity, safety, and brings back some of the vibrancy that we've heard about on West Florissant Avenue. And so we want to kind of hear all of your thoughts and opinions on kind of how you would envision a West Florissant Avenue that would meet community needs and also stimulate economic development. And now I'm going to pass it off to Joe.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan. I'm studying environmental policy at WashU. I just want to expand a little bit about our approach and what kind of core principles we have that are underlying our approach to this project. I think it's important to note that this is iterative and it is the first stage of our project, so it should be continued with the following semesters of the Sustainability Exchange. We really want to foster a continued relationship with the city and its residents. And this isn't just like a one semester project that we're doing. We wanted to preface our discussion about our strategy with a recognition of the privilege that we hold as WashU students and, more importantly, non-residents of Ferguson. We really want to emphasize and make it abundantly clear that our goal is not to assert our own opinions or recommendations. The goal is to amplify your voices, the voices of everyone, and really try to create a comprehensive account of what the community wants, your wants and your needs and the visions that you have for the future of the community. So as we continue conducting our research and continuing in our strategy, we want to emphasize that we are prioritizing equity, sustainability, and revitalization. Now I'm going to pass it off to Lily to talk about the rest of our strategy.
So diving into our plan strategy, as Jordan touched upon, we're starting with community engagement and we are focusing on this throughout our entire term of this project. So we've already started by some on-site group visits to places such as the Boys and Girls Club. We did a group walkthrough of West Florissant to see the area we need to assess. We also have conducted interviews with Mayor Ella Jones, with City Manager John Hampton. We did another interview just today with the owner of the Hive Cafe. And we are looking forward to interviewing residents in the future. So please, if you guys have any ideas, we would love to hear from you. And then that's when we move into our analysis phase where we assess this information and we can apply it to our plan and use these insights to improve upon already existing plans like the Great Streets Plan, in which case we can make sure that we are improving upon existing framework. Yeah. And then I'm going to pass it along to Kate, who's going to tell you what we've learned during our interview.
Hi, everyone. There we go. So yeah, in terms of what we've done so far, Lily kind of covered that. And in our interviews, we've gotten a lot of great opinions in terms of security in Ferguson, building community, what the experience is from a business owner. So we've gotten a lot of different perspectives to this point, and we want to continue building off of that to make sure that we have a well-rounded kind of perspective going in. We are additionally going to interview Police Chief Troy Doyle coming up, so that will be another great perspective. And like Lily said, we want to continue this process as we move through. Again, as Lily said, we've been to Ferguson a couple times now. We went to the last city council meeting where you might have seen us, and we got some great perspectives into what people are talking about in Ferguson right now. We learned about speed bumps, speeding on West Florissant, lighting, stray animals, and it was really insightful, and we hope to continue that process through the flyer that you've been getting where you can submit ideas. And then we also toured the Boys and Girls Club where we got a sense of the facilities and the programming offered there, and went on a little walking tour of the stretch of West Florissant that we're working on to understand kind of the pedestrian experience and contextualize our further research. And finally, we've been looking into the Great Streets Plan again to understand what's going on already and get a better sense of how we can move forward differently and kind of build off of what's already been happening, and then doing background research again to contextualize us and ground us in this field of research, and then combine that with the more humanistic experiences that we've been getting through being in Ferguson and also talking to stakeholders. Now Elizabeth will take us through what comes next. Thank you.
So the next phases of our process look like continuing to talk with various stakeholders to get as many perspectives as we possibly can to include in our proposal, the City Council, which we are at right now, to introduce our project to you all and introduce ourselves. And we hope to hold a town hall or some other forum where we can hear other perspectives and again, just include as many voices as possible into our final project. We're going to analyze the data that we've been collecting from the interviews to identify common themes that arise. And also compare these to what's proposed in the Great Streets Plan to see where that plan is successful and maybe where it's lacking in some other ways. And our final deliverable is going to come in the form of a written report that summarizes our findings and how we interpret those findings for the next group of people that will be looking at this project. So we encourage you to scan this QR code or email us at this account. We've also passed out the flyers, because as we've said multiple times, we want to include as many perspectives as possible. So if you'd be willing to share your thoughts with us, that would be so appreciated. And just thank you so much for taking the time to hear about our project. We're really excited to be working on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also I'd like to bring up Dr. Bumper as well. And if council has any questions, can somebody stay up just in case they have a question? So Dr. Bumper and myself started talking a little bit, and we're, besides this project, hopefully we can work on some other projects that directly affects our neighborhoods in the city of Ferguson. Through your help, I'm sure there's other things that they can look at. And you can just let them know there.
First, I would like to say thank you, Ferguson, Mayor Jones, and Mr. Hampton for allowing our students to be a contribution to Ferguson. We know that Ferguson has a lot to offer, and we are really excited. This will be an ongoing project, so it will be semesters and semesters, because we want to have many recommendations to make Ferguson what we know it can. We know it has the potential to be a wonderful, wonderful city, although it is now, but we want it to be even better. And so this has just been a really great opportunity, the support that we've had, and I'm really excited. And so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Lipgood.
Hi there. So welcome. This is really exciting. I'm sorry. Well, I'm going to ask you to stay up there as well. I'm sorry that I'm at the tail end of my time here because I would really love to get down and deep with all this. This is really cool. I know. Okay. But what I was going to ask you is I hear a lot of hope, but I also hear a lot of 2040 plan. So have you guys had an opportunity to review the 2040 plan? I know you said you're reviewing the Great Streets program. Have you had an opportunity to review before it was called Great Streets, when it was called the Tiger Grant, and what it was, because it changed a little from the two, okay? So what I'm getting at is with that research, I mean, I think that kind of gives you a jump start on what has been happening or has been trying to happen for the last 7, 8 years.
Yeah, so looking at not only the Great Streets Plan, but the 2040 plan has been a part of our research so far. That goes into the idea that Kay was talking about grounding ourselves in the context. And so that'll be key going forward in the analysis that we do, thinking about the ways that we're looking at those two pieces and comparing them to the recommendations that we might be able to make. Yeah.
So then the final part of my question too is, how would one of us as council members, like if we wanted to reach out to somebody and sit down and kind of like talk through some ideas or walk West Florissant with you and kind of point out some ideas, who do we contact and who do we meet with?
Yep, so that email right there is mine, and I'd be, yeah. And so I'd be more than happy to work to coordinate some time. I know the team would be happy to communicate with you all and get out into the community more. And then even going forward into the future, when we're not on this project anymore, but there's other WashU students taking it forward with Dr. Bumpers, we'll just continue that communication. The real purpose of this is that we're working with you all very intentionally and very actively. So if you're interested, we're interested as well.
Well, I will reach out to you, and my email's on the website. And I just wanted to close in saying that, it's really exciting to see WashU students here. My mother grew up in Ferguson. She's 84 as of last week. She went to WashU, put herself through college, and then years later, she was a teacher at WashU for 13 years in the fashion department. So there's a family connection, and I'm glad to see you here.
Glad to be here.
Councilwoman Noah.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all for your work. I did want to invite you formally, and I can give you the information instead of scanning or emailing, because along West Florissant is the Nesbitt New neighborhood and the Forestwood neighborhood, and active neighborhood meetings that are going on. And I would really like for you all to come and talk to the people because they live along West Florissant, and I think it would be good for your research. So I don't know if you all are going to leave early, if you're going to be here. If not, I can email the information because there's a meeting tomorrow. So I would really like for you all to come, or at least one person. Okay?
Yeah, we'll be here for the full meeting.
You'll be
so
here.
we can
Okay,
connect
and I'll
after
talk to you
afterwards.
afterward. But thank you for your work.
Anyone would like to reach out to Dr. Bumper? She'll be here a little bit later, and city manager has that information. Okay? Any other questions? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
We close the special presentation We don't have a public hearing for tonight. Consent agenda. We don't, no meeting minutes from city council yet. We move to the boards and commission meeting members. We have minutes for FSRB. The minutes are 9/9/24. I request a motion in a second.
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second? I'll second it. Would you answer? Now you can ask your question.
So Mr. Knoll is not here. Typically he is. I was reading through the minutes and I was just had a question because in the roll call of the minutes, Ms. Kidd is not listed as an attendee, but when you go through the minutes, Ms. Kidd is listed as calling for a vote on multiple motions. So I was wondering what's that situation?
It could be because she fell off the board and they were from previous meetings, like they were going through the roll calls from like closed sessions, but I'd have to double check the minutes really. Potentially could. Yeah, but if it was from their closed session, that could be the minutes from their closed session that they're reading out. I mean, we can hold it and we can have it come back next council meeting,
Okay,
but I think it's,
withdraw the motion, put the motion on the floor.
Huh?
I didn't motion it. Who put the motion on the
Me.
floor? Okay, would you withdraw your motion simply because they want to go through
Oh,
it
okay,
again?
withdrawn.
Okay. Motion has been withdrawn and all in favor? It-
In favor of what?
Withdrawing the motion.
You don't have to vote.
Okay. So it has been withdrawn and the minutes will come back at a later date. Got it? Okay, we don't have any appointments at this time. Request, not a proclamation, resolution. We have a bill for first reading. Bill number 7297. Without objections, were introduced by Councilman Kassoff and Councilman Palmer. Attorney Ryan, could you please read the bill by title only?
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance amending certain sections within Article Roman numeral 2, Section 4-35 of Chapter 4, the Code of Ordinances for the City of Ferguson, relating to the regulation and issuance of licenses for the sale of intoxicating liquor in the City of Ferguson.
City Manager, do you have an explanation?
I have nothing at this time.
Okay, no action will be taken at this time of first reading. Bill number 7298, without objection, were introduced by Councilman Kassoff and Councilman Palmer. Hear none. Attorney Ryan, could you please read the bill?
An ordinance amending certain sections within Chapters 7 and 18 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Ferguson relating to the Housing Board of Appeals and Building Board of Appeals.
City Manager Hampton?
I have nothing further at this time.
No action will be taken at this time. We move to a bill requiring a second reading. I request a motion in a second to read the bill the second time and place it upon its passage.
So move, Naquita Noah.
I'll second it. Attorney Ryan, would you please read the bill?
An ordinance amending certain sections within Chapter 2, Article Roman numeral 2 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Ferguson relating to ordinances and resolutions.
City Manager,
I have nothing further at this time, Mayor.
any discussion from council? Hear none. Acting City Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Noah,
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
No.
Councilman Kassoff,
No.
Councilman Robinette,
No.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilman Lipka,
No.
Councilman Williams.
Nay.
At this time, the bill fails. We move to unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business?
Yes, Mayor, I do. The unfinished business, I am restating, I stated this in the last council meeting. And so here we go. The ask is for the traffic commission or the council liaison for the traffic commission to report information pertaining to the Jamar speed assessment to the community. First, the length of time the Jamar radar device is posted on a pole for a driver's speed to be assessed. Second, since the city purchased the device in 2021, which streets have been assessed per ward? And lastly, how many streets are awaiting assessment? And then I have.
So let me
another-
restate this so I'm writing it down correctly. You want to know how long the Jamar device sits on a pole?
Mhm.
All right. You also want to know how many streets have currently been completed? Am I correct?
Since the device was purchased in 2021.
I'm sorry, what?
Since the device was
Yep,
purchased
then-
in
so that's all, yeah.
2021.
How many streets have been completed since purchase? And you also are going to keep in mind that we had it sitting in an office for almost 6 months because nobody knew how to use it. So keep that in mind. Also, you want the third question to be how many are still on the list to be done?
Yes, and this information is important because as the city manager stated earlier, there will be no more speed humps purchased with the ARPA dollars. So that means that when the speed humps are purchased, it's going to be incorporated into the budget, right? And in order for streets to receive a speed hump, from what I've been told, the data is the driver behind that, the data from this Jamar.
Mhm.
So I need to explain that to residents. Residents want to understand the data. They want to understand if their street will qualify for a speed hump.
Well, you can also invite those residents to the meeting because it is open to the public and they're welcome to come to the meeting. So you don't have to be a third wheel or a go-between. They can come directly to the meetings.
Okay, I have another set of unfinished business, Mayor, if she's done with her question.
I can't really hear
You
you.
can't hear me? I said I have another topic
You
for
have-
unfinished business. If Councilwoman Lipka is
Okay.
finished with her question.
Is your unfinished business topic, is it directed to the city manager and the staff to answer?
Yes.
I'm just asking a question.
Well, yes and no.
Go ahead. You
The
can keep go-
second set of unfinished business is related to the ARPA funding. And I just would like to know, when can the community expect a report from FNIP in reference to the $650,000 of ARPA funding that has been allocated? I know that they presented about 5 or 6 months ago. So my question is, when can we expect another report?
So, from FNIP,
Yeah.
yeah,
regarding
I
the
know, Mr. Robinette does a quarterly report or a semi-annual report. Then that will be the next time.
That will be the next.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's my question. When
I
can we
mean, I can
expect
reach
that?
out to him, see if I can get some
Okay.
figures for you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Anything else, Councilwoman?
No, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Any unfinished business? Any more unfinished business? Okay, we move to new business. Any new business? Hear none? We move to miscellaneous. Let's start with Councilwoman Noor.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Tomorrow, we'll have a Nesbit Newton meeting. It's going to be at the Ferguson Empowerment Center at 6 p.m. And the Southwest Neighborhood Meeting will be on Monday, October 28th at True Vine Missionary Baptist Church, which is located at 8420 Hill Drive. It's going to be at 6 p.m. as well. The next Forest Wood meeting will be held at Emmaus Bible Chapel on the first Tuesday in November at 7 p.m. You can also go to the FergusonCity.com website. There's a calendar to get more details because you can access the Ferguson meeting online or you can call in. I want to thank Proud for hosting the 30 years after Oak Park, Ferguson then and now conference. Yes, I did attend the Friday night reception and it was nice. It was filled with good people, food, and a remarkable speaker. And in the last meeting, I did mention, thank you all. Thank you to all of the contributors to National Night Out. I want to again thank you to all of the Ferguson staff. I mean, I can definitely see progress in our community, and small progress is progress. Lastly, there has been some concerns at meetings, neighborhood meetings. Residents have voiced their concerns regarding the trash bins being thrown down after they have been emptied by Republic Services instead of them, sitting them upright. And so I just want to continue to encourage residents to report those concerns. They can also report those concerns to Republic Services. But everyone be safe and have a good night.
Thank you, Councilwoman Noor. Councilman Palmer,
Nothing tonight.
Councilman Cassoff.
I just want to let everybody know this Thursday at 6 o'clock will be what is probably the last meeting of Cheers, Jeers, and Beers for this year, as it's probably going to be too cold in November and December to sit out on my front porch. So if you're available Thursday night and you want to get together with some members of council and your neighbors in the community, come by my house, 125 Royal Avenue. That's 125 Royal Avenue, down the hill from the Little Caesars across from US Bank. We will have beer. We will have Traeger grilled hamburgers this time. And some of your neighbors will be there. Some of them might bring their own bottles of liquor and act the fool. You're welcome to do so as well. So 6 o'clock Thursday night, 125 Royal. Hope to see you there.
Thank you, Councilman Cassoff. Councilwoman Robinette.
I could never top that. I have nothing, Mayor.
Councilwoman Lipka.
Thank you, Mayor. So just a few things. Want to kind of tagging on to what Chief Hampton said about the upcoming winter months and pneumonia and flu. Also keep in mind if you have elderly people or you're over the age of 55, 60, RSV is very important too. So you can get those combinations. But I have learned while trying to get that from my mother, RSV has to be prescribed by your doctor. So you can go into your local CVS or Walgreens or places like that and get all the other vaccinations, but you do need a prescription for the RSV, and it's well worth getting. Also, I want to tag on to Ms. Brooks when she was talking about the importance of voting. Absentee voting has opened up, and in the state of Missouri, some of the voter sites, of course, we have the old Northwest Plaza, the St. Louis County office there is open for voting. But also, if you don't want to stand in lines, I think you might want to know that the UMSL Student Millennial Center has voting there. North County Recplex has voting there. And then the Jamestown Library has voting there. So just to kind of give you some ideas of places to go so that you don't have to stand in line. There are many issues on the ballot. Please don't get your information from commercials. Go and do your homework. Read these ballots. We have a big fight in my house, a debate in my house. And we've both downloaded the Amendment 2. And so we're reading through that. And you need to read the fine print on these bills because over the generality of things, they sound like they do this and they do that and they do this. But when you get down into the deep part of it, you will see there are loopholes and everything. It's called politics. That's what they do. Also wanted to point out, Ms. Holtrip is in the room and she is a very strong supporter of this community. She has been working very hard to get the word out for the Ferguson Historical Society. They have a website fundraiser, which will be on November 3rd. It's on Sunday. That is a Sunday from 2 to 4:30 at 100 South Clay, Ferguson, Missouri, which is her home. She opens it up for events like this. There will be appetizers, drinks, exciting raffles. Tickets are $25. You will be supporting the history and the future of Ferguson. So please get in touch with Ms. Holtrip or Mary or Suzanne. You can find a lot of this information online, and you can also reach out to the Historical Society to get direct information. I just want to also remind people that, when there's commentary in our social media and people are like, well, why doesn't the city get grants and why don't they do this and why don't they do that? I just want to kind of like reiterate that the city does an amazing job at getting grants. Our departments work very, very hard at that. Our police department got a grant for new cars, police cars, which as a council, we approved and made sure that went through. Our fire department is constantly getting grants for safety equipment and new technology, which we make sure as a council that that gets approved. And what I mean by that is sometimes a grant has to have some matching fund of some amount. So we make sure that we can make that happen through our budget. The Parks and Rec Department is top notch at getting grants. They're getting a grant that's getting ready to redo our 501 Plaza. They have the trailhead getting ready to go in that they got a grant work on. They've done improvements at Forestwood. So, I mean, they've done playgrounds that are getting ready to come up through our neighborhood parks. So they do amazing work. And then Corey Gilbert, who has been in charge of Public Works for 2 years now? He's been the head of Public Works. In that 2 years, he's self-taught himself basically how to get grants, and he has been doing an amazing job with that. He's getting federal grants. He's getting, he's using the ARPA. That's a grant. ARPA is grant money. It's federal dollars. But he's also getting other things, and he's working with our company that does, what is the name of that company, Mr. Palmer, that does a lot of work with our city on streets and Weiss, thank you, Weiss Development. So when people are like, well, why don't they? I just want you to maybe look at these things and go and change that phrase to thank goodness they do. And more information, like if you come across a grant, shoot it to your council members, shoot it directly to the city staff. Let us know. They can't see everything. And just to let you know too, we are committed as a council to grant dollars to improve our city, so much so that we did approve adjustment in our budget to pay for professional grant writing services. So be proud of that. And that's when I put that information out there as I'm doing tonight, or as if I do on social media, that's not me patting myself on the back. That's me informing people of what is happening, because I do it too. It's super easy to just see your problem and go, why is this happening? But we got to step back, we got to open up, and we got to see everything that is happening. And so I'm very proud of this council. They've done a lot of work here, this council and the past, to support our city staff. And I'm very proud of our city staff. It has taken us 8 years to finally create a team that is working very, very hard for the benefit of the city. And so thank you, Chief Hampton, for your leadership and your team. So that's what I have to say. Have a very happy, safe Halloween. And we won't see you before Election Day. So please have a very productive and safe election experience and go out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lipka. Councilman Williams?
Yes. So when I talk, I'm not trying to point fingers. I am trying to educate. So before I started council, I was not on blood pressure medicine. I am now on blood pressure medicine. So I want to give you guys a story. When I was young, it was the real life Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. My mom used to send me to Atlanta to stay with my rich aunt and uncle. My uncle is Dr. Reverend Marvin Morgan. He was the pastor at the Martin Luther King Church. And if you remember in that Martin Luther King speech, he said, in the hilltops of Stone Mountain. Stone Mountain, Georgia is where they used to hang Black people. It's predominantly African-American now. It's a nice park. They have a man-made beach. So when I was younger, we were on that beach, and my uncle told my cousin and myself to go in the gift shop to get a towel. So she goes in the gift shop, and she buys a Confederate flag towel. We had no idea what that meant. And so we bring it back, and my uncle is furious. He's looking at us like, what are you doing? So he takes us back in the gift shop, and the people that sold us the towel, they were laughing. And they were like, no refunds. And my uncle was like, you're going to give us a refund. He asked us to leave the store. but he did get a refund. What I'm trying to say is I'm from the Southeast. I've experienced discrimination and racism, profiling, so I know what it is. St. Louis is the most divisive place I've ever lived, and I'm from the Southeast. I'm not saying we need to kumbaya and come together. Mike Palmer bleeds Ferguson. He doesn't have a fancy degree. He went to Flo Valley. He bleeds Ferguson. He pays his employees $2 or $3 more an hour just to live in Ferguson. So I don't know what the stipulations and the rules are. They'll get it right. But he bleeds Ferguson. He wants what's best for this city. And I call it like I see it. If he was black, would we really be having this discussion? I'm black. I'm up here. I try to do what's right for Ferguson. But people call me an Uncle Tom, which is not true. I'm the only person that voted for that liquor license. Imagine if Ferguson got a GM plant like Wentzville. Wentzville was a pasture. If we can get businesses like that, we can go to the next level. But we can't even get small businesses here. I think we need to think bigger, stop the pettiness and the bickering, and just move Ferguson forward. When Amazon was going to come to Ferguson, I knew that was a joke. We don't have it together here. The second Apple plant, you want to know where the second Apple plant is? It's in the Research Triangle Park, Raleigh, Durham. That's where I'm from. We just need to get it together. When you go to other places and you see how stuff is ran, and then to come to Ferguson and see how backwards we are, St. Louis, period. We need to come together and stop and just move forward. So I'm not trying to point the fingers. I just want to educate all of us, even me. Just come together and move the city forward. And that means bringing businesses here so we can have a bigger tax base. It'll make our schools stronger, and people will want to come here. If we can just land one business like General Motors. But like I said, we always alienate the small businesses. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. City Manager Hampton, you have anything to share? Well, that's the truth. Anything else, City Manager? Acting City Clerk, Chris.
I have two things. I'm just gonna follow up what I mentioned last time. Packets for, council applications are able to be picked up starting November 1st, at City Hall. So when you come in, we'll be able to give you the applications to apply to run for council. And then the other item I have is we have a status hearing next week at the courthouse at 10 o'clock. They haven't announced the courtroom yet to us specifically, but as soon as that's up, we'll get that on the website so people know. And Parks should be having the bus sign up. So if you are looking to take the bus, Tuesday. So the 29th, so 10, 29, 24 at 10 a.m. Is the status hearing. And this is the one with no public comment, but you can always submit an email so the judge gets comment.
Thank you, Acting City Clerk, Chris. Attorney Ryan. Okay, thank you. Chief Hampton already mentioned Breast Cancer Month, so let's get a mammogram done as soon as possible. Couple of weeks ago, we entertained third graders and fourth graders from around the St. Louis City, St. Louis County. It was about 20 students here, and they really enjoy peeping at the fire truck as it was going down the street. And the police department spent some time with them also. On Friday, we have a delegation coming from Europe, and they're coming to St. Louis County to observe the election process. They have been cleared through United States Department, and so the election board has cleared them to come and tour the area. So if you would like to tour with our not out of state, cross the pond neighbors, you're more than welcome. Meet me there at 8:45. In addition to that, I just want to hitchhike off what Chief Hampton said, our city manager, about Proud. Proud was not only represented by Councilwoman Noor. This council was represented because we diligently worked on getting the proclamation done, signed, and framed to the person that asked me to send it to them. I went there and read the proclamation. Not a proclamation that is printed in that bulletin. It's not a city document. It is not signed by me, nor does it carry the seal of the city. We work diligently to support Proud in many ways that was not mentioned. But whenever I go to an event, my job is to represent this council and represent this city. So we were well represented at Proud. In addition to that, go out and vote November the 5th. I request a motion in a second. to
So
adjourn.
moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Adjourn.